Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, people. Make sure to smash a like and subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 1K subscribers this year and as soon as possible. And yeah, we don't just talk about West Ham, we do talk about other teams as well. And I thought I'd talk about this because I've got a bit to say about it. But yeah, let's get straight into it. Obviously, Man City played yesterday. I was thinking about making this video either yesterday or 2 days ago, but I was waiting for the Marmoush signing to be confirmed. But I'm going to talk about it now because I watched the PSG game. Typical Manchester City. I don't know if anybody thought they were back because they beat Ipswich 6-0. Even in that Ipswich game, Ipswich started quite well. And I thought, okay, they might be in for a long day. But Ipswich can't defend. Ipswich can't defend to save their lives. And I don't know, man. I don't know. When it comes to Man City, they'll beat the odd team that they're meant to beat, but they're still in a rut. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because those three signings that they made is a good step forward, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough to survive, and what I mean survive, obviously not relegation, but in terms of going through the ruts, they're in a deep, deep top four race. I'm interested to see how City tackle this top four race. It would be quite weird to not see them in the Champions League next season, but that is a real possibility. Competing with Chelsea, competing with Newcastle, competing with Villa, I guess, as well. I still think they'll get it, but I think they'll finish fourth. They're definitely finishing below Liverpool and Arsenal. But then again, third is up for debate because Nottingham Forest are also there. And I'm sure everyone expects Nottingham Forest to fall off, but they just keep going, man. Nottingham Forest just keep going. So there's no reason why they can't get top four, especially with no Europe. And they're looking to add Cunha. Even if they didn't add Cunha, like, so what? They could probably still get some form of Europe. But listen, let's get straight into it. So they signed Reis. I think that's how you say his name. Marmoush and Khusanov. Now, I've watched none of these players. I didn't know who Khusanov and Reis were before the City were linked with them. I just went on Football Manager and scouted them instead. But Marmoush, I've seen a name before. I've never watched a game of him. I haven't watched a single Frankfurt game since Glasner left. But people have been saying this guy's a good player, and I think he hasn't. Don't think he's been at Frankfurt for long. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's been there for long. Uh, Either this year or last year he moved, but he must be good in Manchester City one. Now that doesn't work all the time because they wanted Doku. They wanted to play Grealish on the left. Grealish is a good player, but he's definitely not a left winger. Um, I think with Manchester City in general, it's good that they've signed Marmoush, but if he could, obviously, I think he can play on the wing and he can play just in behind the striker and he can play up front as well. So he's kind of like a Julian Alvarez replacement in terms of numbers. But they need starting wingers because how many times have you watched Manchester City and their wingers can't beat their man? Their wingers final ball isn't good enough. They're not creative anymore. And listen, I get recycling the ball and just doing all of that was good when they were winning the treble because it made sense the way they were playing with Stones going into midfield and Bernardo Silva and Greenish just recycling the ball and then taking people on. Even though they don't have pace, they were still getting the better of their fullbacks in the Real Madrid games, the Bayern Munich games, etc. They did really well there, but they needed something more. Now, Doku, the idea of Doku sounds really good, but this guy is, you never know what you're going to get with him. He seems like a small team killer sort of thing. Like the game against Ipswich, he did well. He did really well, but that seems to be more his level. He always seems to destroy West Ham as well. Um, I think Savio is a good player. I think Savio is a really good player. I think he'll grow into his own. Obviously, people talk about goals and assists a lot, but I actually didn't think he was warranted taking off against PSG. I don't know if he picked up an injury. I know Ruben Diaz did, and that's why he got taken off. And he said he wasn't feeling well. But that sub felt a bit self-destructive, despite the Jack Grealish goal, because I thought, okay, you ain't got anyone to run behind now. You ain't got anyone to, take on someone 1v1 and be somewhat explosive, but also have a good cross from the wing. And let's hope for their sake that Marmoush is that. Someone who can cut in, but someone who can also go around the outside. He even said in one of the quotes of what he said, I'm fast and I'm good on the ball and I'm dangerous. Well, let's see that. Let's see that. Don't do a Raheem Sterling where he said you're going to see the best of me, and we've just seen him on a bench and struggle against meaty teams. So don't do a Sterling. However, City need a midfielder, man. Every time I watch Manchester City, it's not just because of Rodri, because even with Rodri, I don't think they would be blazing the league or anything. I think they would probably be like second, and maybe they'd be first, but just above Liverpool. But they'd still be conceding a lot of goals. Like it's more than just Rodri. It's more than that. Their defenders, they either can't stay fit or can't stay consistent. Like Ake is a good player, but he can't stay fit. John Stones is a good player, but he can't stay fit. Ruben Diaz is actually really done well in the past couple of months, but even he can't stay fit. Kyle Walker's genuinely dog shit, and he's going to AC Milan now. Gavardio is not good at centre back; he's only good at left back. But even then, isn't it becoming a bit predictable now having these centre backs in wide areas now? Because as much as we've seen him, rifle these goals with his right foot, it's been a while, and that was kind of currying it over a bit with his lack of attacking threat. But he's actually better at defending in wide areas than he is in the centre. And I thought this guy was meant to be a centre back because I remember when City first signed Gavardio, I remember him being in such advanced positions, and I was like, "Isn't this guy meant to be a centre back?" And I thought, "What the fuck is Pep doing?" And turns out I was wrong. He has been doing well at left back, and he's probably better off there. But I know they're linked with some Cambiasso guy from Juventus. Again, haven't watched him, but it seems unlikely that he's going to move this window. So, do City need to go back to fullbacks? I think what City need to go back to is explosive wingers, similar to how they had with Sane and Sterling, to get the ball into Erling Haaland, and then have fullbacks that are good defensively, but also can do the whole inverting stuff that he wants to do. Because Mateus Nunes at right back is not it. That was a Hall of Shame performance. I get it's not his position, but some of the stuff that he was doing wasn't because he was playing right back, was because of his final ball. It was because of him. Rico Lewis has been horrible this season. Horrible. God knows whether he will survive at Man City for much longer, but with the way he's been performing this season, it won't be for long. So he's got to improve. And yes, people are going to be like, he's young. But I've seen Rico Lewis perform well before. And once you perform at Manchester City, they're going to expect instant results regardless. I don't think Pep is helping himself. I don't think Pep is helping himself either, because a lot of his substitutions are quite self-destructive, but I'll get into that another time. But back to the midfield situation, I'm watching Kovacic in midfield as a 6, and this guy's pressing high up the pitch, thinking he's still in the 8 position and leaving a big gap behind. Manchester City are actually quite lucky that a lot of the teams don't have the final third quality to hit them on the counter and be clinical. But that's the risk of playing Kovacic there. Just constantly jumping in, so there's no balance in midfield. But also on the ball, he's got a strike on him. However, if you got like a 6, if they have to get Douglas Luiz, in my opinion, forget alone, get Douglas Luiz. They want a permanent sale, just go and get him. I think he's a good player. I think he'll be good at a stopgap signing and then being competition for Rodri. I think that's a no-brainer for me. It'll give Kovacic the time to go forward. Bernardo Silva can hold bench because this guy, the fall off of Bernardo Silva has been remarkable in itself. Because as much as I like him as a player, he's contributing nothing on the pitch. No creativity. We can see you got the technical ability. We've always been able to see that. But this is what I'm getting at. With City have signed three players, but they have more problems than just those 3 players. Like Khusanov and Reis will probably solve their issues in defence, because I'm glad that they actually bought centre backs just on their behalf, because I didn't think they'd actually address that quickly. But even the likes of Akanji's fallen off, and he even can't stay fit. But it seems like the workload has really gotten to every one of their defenders, and a lot of them just haven't performed when they have been fit. So that's going to give them a new injection, but they're going to need time to settle in. When you're a Pep Guardiola signing, I mean, I do this for everyone. Where if you're a foreign signing, like a signing that's come from another country and you've never played in the Premier League before, I'll give you time before I really judge you. But especially under Pep, obviously a lot of people are going to write off signings because they have their agendas, whether they sign for City or Arsenal or Liverpool or Chelsea, whoever it is. But that's not the way I do it. That's why I think Savio will be a great player at Manchester City. Let's see if Khusanov and Reis is. I've never watched them before, but I'd imagine that they solve solutions. So we're going to see where Man City go from there. But here's my last thing. That I want to talk about quickly when it comes to Manchester City. I'm going to show you their fixtures. This is their fixtures until March. Let's say until this game, the 15th of March. So the next game is against Chelsea at home, Club Brugge at home. Arsenal away. Cool. Later they're in the way. You never know. Newcastle at home. Liverpool at home. Tottenham away. Forest away. And Brighton at home. Cool, they got Leicester City at home. They should win that, even though Leicester away, they didn't make it easy. But Chelsea at home, that screams a draw to me. We saw, I know it's a different style of play, but Chelsea did get 2 results of Manchester City last season. And even when City did have Rodri right at the start of the season, I'm pretty sure City had Rodri for the Chelsea City game at the start. But regardless, Chelsea didn't perform that bad at all. City were just clinical. City just had more quality on the pitch. They just counted on mistakes. Chelsea didn't perform bad. And they just won against Wolves. And I'd imagine they take that 1 week break into a bit of momentum to try and secure their place in top 4. It's a top 4 race type of game. So we're going to see from that as well. Club Brugge at home, they should win that, but they also drew to Feyenoord and bottled it to Feyenoord. So City managed to fuck themselves in the Champions League. They might not even qualify, which is the funny part. Arsenal away, that's a loss. That's a loss. Arsenal don't lose against Big Six teams. They don't lose. They haven't lost at home in the league this season. At best, they get a draw. I don't know whether Saliba is going to be back for this game. I actually don't think it matters because despite Kivior and Timber's faults at centre back, Man City have come up against a lot worse and have struggled against a lot worse. I do think Arsenal will win that. Leyton Orient, cool, whatever. Newcastle at home. It is at home, but again, Newcastle can get something out of that. If Liverpool win at the Etihad, bro, Pep Guardiola, I don't think has ever lost to Liverpool at the Etihad. Especially with fans. Yeah, even without fans, they drew. And in the whole Pep versus Klopp era, Klopp never won at City. So if Slot wins there, it could be long for them. I don't see City winning that game. I think City will squeeze over against Newcastle. I think they'll draw against Chelsea. They'll just about beat Bruges. They will lose against Arsenal, beat Leyton Orient, beat Newcastle. I think they'll draw against Liverpool. Tottenham away. I know Tottenham are shit. But Tottenham have been shit all season. They still beat Manchester City. It's not just because of the sit back and counter teams that they've had, Mourinho and Conte, but also under Ange Postecoglou. They will beat Manchester City. The only time City actually were able to beat Tottenham is when they really, really had to last season. I know, because it was the penultimate game of the season. And there was a whole weird atmosphere of Tottenham actually not wanting to win that game. Nottingham Forest away, write it off. I don't know if Forest will capitalise still until the 8th of March. But even if they don't, they will rise it for that game. Chris Wood missed a lot of chances last season against Man City. He will want to rectify that. That will be a draw. And Brighton at home, I still think they'll win that game. Now, there's going to be a lot of draws in this. Don't be surprised if City do falter. But this is the problem. Because let's say these new 3 signings, and let's say they sign even more players. Let's say they sign a midfielder. Let's say they sign that Cambiasso. They need to sign a midfielder. I don't think any of that even is going to solve anything for today. It's just that you're getting your business done quickly and quicker for the next season. Because right off this season, you're not winning a Champions League. God knows if you even fucking qualify. You'll be lucky to win an FA Cup. You might go trophyless this season. And those players aren't going to be able to settle in that quick. Maybe the defenders, but Marmoush, I don't imagine he'll play that much because Pep likes to, make the siding settle in. It's a process. It's a long process, but not a truster process. It's just a long process into actually settling in these players. But they need to fix up quick. The existing players that are already there, you need to see the De Bruyne. Like De Bruyne will turn up because he usually does. You need to see the ball given to Haaland, but Haaland needs to do a lot more outside of his goals. Grealish needs to do more on the left, even though I don't think he's left winger at all. Doku needs to not be a bozo. Bernardo Silva needs to not be shit, which over the past 18 months has told us otherwise. The defenders actually need to stop being bozos as well. Rico Lewis as well needs to step up. The likes of Akanji, let's say Ruben Diaz is this guy's been on and off with injuries. Let's say he's fine for the time being. needs to step up. We need John Stones to not pull an injury. That's the way I'm looking at it from their perspective. We need Kovacic to, you know, not just fumble and be naive as the last midfielder trying to stop counterattacks, which he isn't a natural six ball winner, but you got to do your job. You're a human, right? You're a professional footballer. Like, you should be somewhat aware of that position. But anyway, people, let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, we're gonna do a stream with Prime at 10 to talk all things Premier League. We've got a West Ham and Villa preview tomorrow. And I'll see you guys later. Road to 1K subs. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.